It's just days away, the most anticipated Texans season since the beginning. And right now, time for a deep dive into what could happen. It's countdown to kickoff. And joining us, our regular guests who've been here the past couple of weeks. Seth Payne, original Texan from Sports Radio 610, who joins us Sunday nights right here during the season. Also from Sports Radio 610, Brandon Scott, and another former Texan, author and motivational speaker, J.J. Moses. And we're not done either. From Chalk Talk, Kim Davis and Cody Stoots of HOUfootball.com. All of them are here, also in studio. And joining me over here on the big desk, Zack Tawatari and Luis Ortiz. Everybody, you guys got your whiteboards ready?
Yeah.
All right, we got them ready. We're ready, but we're not going to use them just yet. Instead, we're starting with this. Which player will lead the Texans this season in touchdowns? Last year was Nico Collins with 8, so who will it be this season? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Zach.
All right, well, you look last year. The league leaders in touchdowns were all quarterbacks and running backs. We're excluding C.J. Stroud from this conversation. So to me, that really leaves only one possible choice as to who's going to lead the Texans in touchdowns this season. And I say this because Nico Collins and Stefan Diggs are both going to be big play type receivers, meaning they're not going to get all those quick slants, shorter passes in the end zone. I think it has to be C.J. Stroud's favorite target, Tank Dell.
You know what? When he was saying earlier there's only one choice, I was thinking he was going to say Stefon Diggs, right?
Before we started, right?
Right. Because all eyes are on Stefon Diggs. I'm going to say Tank Dell as well. Why? He only played 11 games last year, finished with 7 touchdowns, one less than Nico Collins, who finished with 8. Stefon Diggs also finished with 8. Here's the thing, though. Nico Collins played in 15 games. Stefon Diggs played in 17 games during last season. So if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, Tank Dell, then I think he would have gotten at least probably 10 touchdowns. You know the chemistry's there with C.J. Stroud, so I'm going to go with Tank Dell as well. Because even though you said last year the guys with the most touchdowns were quarterbacks and running backs, I don't think that the running game is there for the Texans.
That's right.
Well, listen, when you just do the math, the number of touchdowns Tank Dell had in the limited amount of playing time he had, of course he suffered the injury. I'm going to say Tank Dell as well. Stefon Diggs, of course, did his damage with the Buffalo Bills, but I'm going to say Tank Dell, so we are all Tank Dell here. And now let's go to the rest of our panel. Seth Payne, you're leading us off, so who's leading the Texans in touchdowns?
Oh, that's a good question. I was hoping for who leads in receiving or something, but that's a tough question too. I'm going to say because you have all those receivers and all those options, Joe Mixon ends up leading the team in touchdowns. And it will be a welcome gift if that happens because this team has struggled in the red zone, mostly because they haven't been able to run the football effectively. So I think Joe Mixon is going to fit into this scheme just fine, and I think he ends up having a prolific year in the goal line area.
So I'd love to hear what you're going to say about this, JJ, because for me, it's Tank Dell. He's the big play guy for me. Like, he's got that big play ability, that home run factor. Stefon Diggs probably going to be the number one wide receiver. I think that Nico Collins has a chance to be their best red zone target, if not Dalton Schultz. But Tank Dell can take the top off of a defense, and it just has that big play ability. I'm going to go with Tank Dell.
Okay, Brandon, I was actually thinking about Tank Dell, but due to the fact that I understand that the NFL is a physical game, can Tank Dell continue to stay healthy each and every week? So that's the only thing that I would maybe say, maybe not Tank Dell. So I'm going to go with Nico Collins. Big guy, big frame, 1,300 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns. And the young man is just getting started.
What about the run after the catch on top of that? Like, he was decidedly better than anybody in the league last year after catching the ball. I think that's a big factor into why he could be the one.
And I think because Nico, of course, I think they're going to really utilize him within the red zone. And I don't think personally Nico's going to get those 70-yard touchdowns like Tank Dell. I think Nico, if you look at the combination of this whole full season, he's going to get those 25, 10-yard touchdowns, and he's going to pile them up each and every game.
Kim, how about you and then Cody?
So that for me is going to be Tank Dell. And my reason is because I think they're all explosive. But Stefan's more of the slot guy. He's going to be a great possession guy. He runs great routes, and they're going to cover him like a blanket because of his history. And then, of course, Nico Collins, the year he had last year, he's going to draw a lot of double coverage as well, especially over the top of him when he's trying to go deep. But I think Tank is so explosive that he is the guy, and he's the guy that's probably going to have more single coverage. I think that most touchdowns will be Tank Dell.
Joe Mixon is going to lead the Texans in touchdowns. He was fantastic in Cincinnati last year. And you're saying to yourself, all these wide receivers, well, they can't lead if they've all got a share. Joe Mixon had 9 rushing touchdowns last year, had a handful of receiving touchdowns last year, and 7 times he got tackled at the 1-yard line and had a teammate score. Now, this offense is going to be fantastic in the air, and they're going to get in the red zone, and they're going to give it to Joe. Joe knows touchdowns for the Texans.
All right, everyone, good choices. I think Tank Dell certainly is the favorite. Now, C.J. Stroud coming off one of the best rookie seasons ever.
Yep.
And now Caleb Williams is entering the league after being drafted first overall by the Bears. Let's put on the forecasting hat. Better rookie season, C.J.'s or Caleb Williams?
Well, it would be pretty hard to have as good of a rookie year or better than C.J. Stroud. He had one of the best rookie years in the history of the NFL. You're talking about 69% completion rating, over 4,000 yards. He's only one of 5 rookie quarterbacks to ever pass for that much. It'd be hard to imagine Caleb Williams being able to eclipse those numbers. I also think the expectations are different for Williams coming out of college than they were for CJ. Not that we didn't think CJ could be great, but Caleb Williams has had a lot of hype around him, and I feel like CJ really came in as the quiet, kind of more reserved personality, and I think that really served him well last season.
I mean, let's go back and look back at last year. CJ wasn't really the starter until later in training camp. That's when we got the word that CJ was going to be the starter. CJ, 3rd most passing yards by a rookie in NFL history. I'm just going to do the math again. Look at all the rookie quarterbacks, and there's only been 2 others with CJ's type of numbers. Now, I think Caleb Williams may be entering a better situation given some of the players around him with that Chicago offense. And Caleb Williams is going to run the football a little bit more, I think, than CJ did. But I'm still going to just stick with the numbers and say it would be awfully hard to top anything what C.J. Stroud did in his first season. So I'm gonna go with C.J. as well.
There's a reason why it was a historic season, right?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't happen often. And then to think about it, for it to happen 2 years in a row, I think it's just too difficult. You know, I don't think the odds are in Caleb Williams' favor. So although, like you said, I do think he comes into a better situation than C.J. Stroud did. Going back to what you said, that C.J. Stroud wasn't the starter right out of the gate, I think that was more politics per se, just because of Davis Mills, and just didn't want to say, hey, we just drafted this guy and you're being replaced.
It was football stuff. Like, don't give anybody anything. He's got to earn it.
Right.
But Laramie Tunsil,
we knew.
Laramie Tunsil knew. Everybody knew.
Yes. So I think C.J. Stroud, his numbers were being compared sometimes to Tom Brady. You know.
Yeah.
So I think his season was just one for the ages, and I don't think that Caleb Williams is going to be able to match that this year.
And now let's get the opinions from the rest of our crew here. Who wants to go first?
Come on, this is C.J. Stroud. Stroud's going to have had a fantastic rookie season, and Caleb Williams is going to be chasing him and compared to him the whole time. But here's what Caleb Williams doesn't have: an offensive staff that you can trust and a head coach that you can trust. In fact, Bobby Slowick, keep an eye on Chicago. They may be calling you at the end of the year when Matt Eberflus and his crew disappoint, but Caleb Williams won't disappoint. He's just not going to be as fantastic as C.J. Stroud was last year.
It's C.J. Stroud. I mean, the year that C.J. Stroud had last year was amazing. I mean, I think it's going to be tough for anybody to duplicate. I think that puts some pressure on, for fans on what they expect C.J. will do this year. But as it relates to the question, I think it's definitely going to be C.J. Stroud. I think Caleb Williams will be fine. He's going to be a great NFL quarterback. But that rookie season by C.J. Stroud was pretty remarkable.
I've been watching a lot of Caleb Williams because it's fun. But it's fun for a couple of reasons. One, he makes some absurdly impressive plays. He is so physically gifted, and yet he does not have the same consistency and the same mechanics that C.J. Stroud has. So C.J., whose mechanics actually got better as the year went by last year, this is something that Caleb Williams is still going to have to figure out and learn, because on a lot of the boring stuff, the stuff that Tom Brady tells C.J. Stroud all the time that's so important, doing the boring stuff, the shorter throws, the screens, all of that, Caleb Williams' footwork comes to be a problem at times. So I think that CJ's might not have as many magnificent circus throw highlights as Caleb Williams will, but I think CJ's rookie year is not going to be surpassed.
So I don't want you to think I'm copping out on this one.
Okay.
But I really, really want to get your feedback on this.
Let's hear it.
C.J. Stroud, the better individual rookie season, but the team that Caleb Williams is joining, better than most teams that are number 1 overall pick, or in C.J. Stroud's case, a number 2 overall pick, a top quarterback prospect, gets to play with a 7-win Chicago team from last year, adds Caleb Williams, adds the other pieces that they've added in the draft with Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen. I think the Chicago Bears have a chance, especially in the NFC, to do better than the Texans did last year, even if I'm not giving Caleb the rookie year that C.J. Stroud had.
Okay, I heard Nick Saban say this just recently, but expectations is a killer. And so what C.J. Stroud has just done, he's created this massive expectation for every single rookie quarterback, Brandon, to come in and dominate. And we all know C.J.'s year was phenomenal. I don't personally believe we're going to ever see another rookie season like C.J. I mean, the guy was flawless. And Coach Bob Slowick, he had it where he just allowed CJ to continue to grow. And a lot of times we see offensive coordinators and they try to change or make players as a quarterback to fit their scheme. And they want those guys to work on their weaknesses. But we saw with Coach Bob Slowick was the fact that he really gravitated towards CJ's strengths, and he didn't try to change him. CJ didn't have to go out there to think. He was just out there making those plays. So again, expectations, I believe, could be a killer.
Hey, good luck to all you rookie quarterbacks out there coming into the NFL, having to meet the standard of one CJ Stroud. Good luck with that.
That's a good one.
But it will be fun to see Caleb Williams. Of course, that matchup week 2 for the Texans. So you'll have Caleb versus C.J. Stroud.
Sunday Night Football.
That will be fun. Now, time to use the whiteboards.
I'm ready.
Here we go.
I'm excited for this.
Here's the question. By week 9, Stefon Diggs will be blank. By week 9, Stefon Diggs will be blank. Of course, Stefon Diggs coming to Houston in that trade with Buffalo back in April for a second-round pick in 2025. So Stefon Diggs certainly has shown some good things, not just on the field, but the way he's interacted with all of the other wide receivers and has really looked to be a leader thus far. So Stefon Diggs will be blank. How about you go first?
Let's do it. I'm going to say he'll be fine. There's going to be no problems. There's not going to be any drama. Everything will be fine. You know, like you said, he's come in and shown some good things on and off the field. Also, everybody's having nothing but good things to say about him, right? They've said he's a good leader. You've seen him take Tank Dell, John Meacham III there to the side, pull him to the side and talk to him. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be well behaved.
Certainly there was this talk that he was a diva coming into Houston, a diva from his last stops. I'm going to go.
Okay.
He'll be enjoying the weather. Think of it. Where he's played previously, Minnesota and Buffalo. What also did he say when he first got here? Man, it's hot.
Yeah.
Listen, I love fall. Fall in the north is amazing. You've got the leaves changing colors, apple cider, pumpkin time. But he will be enjoying the weather because when right around week 9, that's October 31st. Yeah. And the weather's about to change up there. And I can tell you this. We're not shoveling 3 feet of snow from the mouth of our driveways here in Houston. So that's why I think he'll be enjoying the weather. Zach?
Don't forget cinnamon donuts, Jason. Those are very important to the Northeast. Okay, he's going to be a Houstonian. #713.
What?
He's going to be so happy in Houston that he's going to have become ingrained as a Houstonian by week 9. I think he has tremendous respect for his fellow wide receivers in the receiving corps, tremendous respect for DeMeco Ryans, and tremendous respect for C.J. Stroud. And I think when he sees that the Texans are winning, he's going to be okay sharing the ball.
I think Brandon and JJ are ready, so you guys, go ahead.
Stefon Diggs will be vindicated. Vindicated. All of the noise that you hear people talk about Stefon Diggs. Wow. Oh, he's a diva. Oh, he doesn't have good relationships with his quarterback. Oh, he's a locker room issue. I haven't seen any of that, JJ, and I've been around. I know some of these players, man. I haven't seen anything but leadership. And obviously with C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans, who wouldn't want to, at the very least, match that energy, perform in that kind of way? And Stefon Diggs doesn't even need that kind of motivation. Sure. He comes with that sort of same ethos about him. Yeah. So I think by week 9, Stefon Diggs will be vindicated. We won't be talking all of this diva talk and sideline sideshows and all of that. Stefon Diggs will be balling and vindicated for the move that the Texans made.
So when we say vindicated, are we kind of thinking about maybe 1,000-yard season vindicated, or we're saying wow?
Stefon Diggs, man, we've been out there at training camp, and I know preseason hasn't really given that impression, but training camp, you watch how they operate as an offense, and when they start doing team drills, and you know what this is like, JJ, when you have a guy that you're going to, Andre Johnson, when you have certain types of guys, hey, we're targeting him to start practice, just to set the tone. Yeah. Stefon Diggs is a tone setter for the Texans right now. I think he'll be vindicated.
I agree, and I love the word vindicated, but I'm going to utilize another word that's really important that I think is going to happen. Stefon Diggs will be engaged, and he's going to be locked in. You might ask the question, what does it mean, JJ, to be engaged? Well, first of all, it's going to be a long season. I personally believe with the emergence of Nico Collins and then Tank Dell, Stefon Diggs is going to have to continue to stay engaged with the players and even the coaches. And then I feel he's going to see his role as a team to be more of a leader vocally. Just continue to be that good team player in the locker room, out of the locker room. So that's the way that he's going to continue to stay engaged. And then last but not least, staying locked in. And then, of course, we're talking about how do you stay locked in? It's going to be important for Stefon Diggs to stay locked in and continue to believe and to trust in the coach's philosophy. If he's locked in, you won't hear any of those distractions. You won't hear any complaining, because his main goal and their main goal is to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I'm with you on this, JJ. People probably don't think about this, but think about the opportunity cost of this season. He's got an opportunity to win a Super Bowl on a team that's actually ready-made to win a Super Bowl.
It's ready.
And it's a contract year for Stefon Diggs. I'm not saying the guy's got any money problems or anything like that, but it is.
He better not have no money problems at least, right?
But it is a contract year.
Right.
So you're motivated to win. You're motivated to get paid. Go out there and do your thing.
Let's go.
Kim, you're next.
So by week 9, Stefon Diggs will be leading the team in receptions and yards. I think it's because of how they're going to use him. They're going to use him over the middle in the slot a lot, and I just expect that he's going to be great for those fantasy guys, except for maybe the touchdowns. But he's going to lead the team in receptions and yards by week 9.
How about Cody and then Seth?
Stefon Diggs will be explosive, but in a good way, okay? Yeah, you're thinking explosive, that's going to be bad for the Houston Texans. No, it's going to be good for the Houston Texans. Diggs had 160 targets on average in Buffalo. He's not getting that in Houston. So how do you keep the big guy happy? Well, you give him more stuff like plays to get first downs, touchdowns. He can replace volume with explosiveness and be just as happy in Houston as he was in Buffalo.
By week 9, Stefon Diggs will be planning the team costume party. They'll probably have to have it after Halloween because they play on Thursday night on October 31st. Randy Moss remember Randy Moss? All kinds of attitude issues and problems. He got to New England. He planned the Halloween party. He got Belichick to show up as a pirate. So I think Stefon Diggs similarly is going to be really happy and excited just to be in a functional football environment. People wonder, okay, well, yeah, but he's going to have to share his targets. Look, most receivers, when they start acting up, it's because the offense isn't being run properly. Maybe it's, and also that they want the football more, but a lot of times the quarterback's not going the right places with the ball or things aren't going right. I don't see that being an issue this year. So I think it'll be Stefon Diggs dressed up as a pirate or Fred Flintstone or something like that.
A Halloween party. Yeah. That was pretty good.
Trick or treat.
Hey,
very good.
We got to make sure we get an invite.
Yes. That probably isn't going to happen. Moving ahead now, the Colts with QB Anthony Richardson, the one team Houston fans should be most concerned with. And by the end of the season, how many wins will DeMeco's team have? We're cleaning our whiteboards for our best guesses on Sports Extra. Back on Sports Extra's countdown to kickoff. Last year, guys, AFC South was decided by one game in the standings. This season, let's look around. Which other team is in your peripheral vision?
I think you teased it, right? Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts. I think that's the team that's right there behind the Houston Texans in the AFC South. Talking about the Titans, I'm not really too concerned about them, taking into account that they lost a lot of players during free agency. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think they're just going to be the worst team in the division.
I really respect what Chris Ballard does as the GM of the Indianapolis Colts, and for that reason, I'm going to say Indianapolis. Another reason why is Anthony Richardson really is the wild card in this division and everything he can do. So I'm going to say the Indianapolis Colts, but I think you could make for a case for the Jacksonville Jaguars as well with Trevor Lawrence. Which way are you leaning, Zach?
Yeah, I've also got to say Indianapolis. I mean, you look at not only the fact that they have Anthony Richardson. You mentioned we saw flashes of brilliance from him last year. It'll be interesting to see what he can do as a quarterback leading this team, but also some of those key free agent additions like Zaire Franklin. They also drafted pretty well, getting a guy like A.D. Mitchell from Texas. So they've got a lot of weapons, a lot of threats. I think they're the ones that I see out of the corner of my eye.
So that's our opinion. And now let's turn to Kim Davis. Kim, which team is in your peripheral vision?
You know, that was a little tough for me, but I'm going to go with the Colts, right? I mean, I think the Colts and the Jags will be kind of close, but the Colts are just the Anthony Richardson wild card is what I call it, because we just don't quite know yet, or I don't, how they're going to use him. But I think it's going to be the Colts. I think the Jags won't be far behind. I think it's going to be a much more competitive conference division rather than people expect, but I'm going to go with the Colts.
So this is not a cop-out either, but I'm going to be honest with you, JJ.
Oh, man.
That whole division keeps me up a little bit.
Yes.
The entire division, from the Jaguars and the fact that they were right there. We've seen their success. We've seen them actually do it before, even though they collapsed at the end of last year.
Yeah.
They've still got, I think, the team to threaten the Texans. I think that what the Titans are doing at least shows that they have confidence. I probably got the least amount of confidence in them, but they're showing the confidence they have in themselves. And then the Colts, man, you were right there. They were a play away from doing something similar to what the Texans did last year. So I'm not trying to cop out, but I'm saying this. The AFC South is a force to be reckoned with, the entire division.
It's funny because you mentioned the AFC South. Now, Brandon, back in my days, the AFC South was probably the weakest division out of all the different divisions within the National Football League. But this year, I think there's going to be emergence where it's going to be a competitive top to bottom in terms of, you never know how Jacksonville, of course, Trevor Lawrence, he's a phenomenal quarterback. We know that what he's going on year 4. Yep. And then the emergence of their new quarterback from the Colts now. He's now back.
Yeah,
he's
Anthony
healthy.
Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. Again, we all know that he's a phenomenal player. But the thing is, can Anthony continue to stay healthy throughout the remainder part of the season? And then the Titans, new coaching, new staff, new philosophy, new team, new players. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, the one thing you could say about the Texans is that you feel best about their quarterback situation.
Sure.
Which says a lot considering that Trevor Lawrence just got paid and maybe hasn't met the expectation, but has played well enough, again, to be paid and for them to build around him. You just had a guy just play one season and you already feel better about your quarterback situation than the other teams in the AFC South. So that's one caveat and one thing that you for sure got. The Texans have the edge, but every single team, every division game to me will be appointment viewing this year, JJ.
And it definitely helps to have the one and only DeMeco Ryan.
No doubt.
I see the Colts coming in there out of the periphery for two reasons. One, Anthony Richardson, but also two, Shane Steichen, their head coach. He's worked wonders with guys like Jalen Hurts. He was with Justin Herbert when he was a younger quarterback, and I think he did a really good job with Gardner Minshew last year. The biggest question is, can Anthony Richardson stay healthy? He really hasn't had a fully healthy season since his junior year in high school, and it's a hodgepodge of different things. He's also not always that careful with his body. So, and he's also basically still a rookie quarterback with limited experience from last year, but he's freakishly talented, and we saw firsthand what he can do with his legs versus the Texans. So that's who I'm keeping an eye on.
The Indianapolis Colts. I have a lot of respect for the Indianapolis Colts. They were really close to being where the Texans were at the end of last year. And if they hadn't had that one dropped pass, they might have been where the Texans ultimately ended up being. Shane Steichen's a fantastic coach. I don't believe in Anthony Richardson that much. I actually feel like they might even be better when Flacco gets in there. But a healthy Jonathan Taylor, a paid Jonathan Taylor, a healthy Colts offensive line, and a mastermind for an offensive-minded head coach, that's a dangerous team to pay attention to in the AFC South.
AFC South could be one of the better divisions in football if everything breaks right, but of course everything has to break right. And finally, Whiteboard's ready again. How many wins for the Texans in 2024? While we're writing our choices, let's start with our guests with Seth, followed by Kim and Cody. Guys?
This year in the regular season, the Texans will most likely have 11 wins, which is actually really good because, look, they are facing a formidable schedule this year of really tough opponents. And as I look through them, I don't see a lot where I can envision exactly how they'll fail. The one team that I think might drop off this year, partly because Stefan Diggs isn't going to be there, is the Buffalo Bills. But beyond that, it's probably going to be a pretty tough slate of facing a lot of good quarterbacks, a lot of mobile quarterbacks. And the 11 wins is very, very respectable. I do think some people are not counting on the fact, though, that the Texans are going to be a much better team this year than they were last year. People keep saying, well, you know, they won all these one-score close games. That's just luck of the draw. Yeah, that was last year's team. This is a better team. I think they're going to have a freakishly good passing attack, and it's just a matter of facing that onslaught of opponents that's going to keep them from getting really up there into the 13-14 win category.
Kim?
So the wins thing was kind of tough for me, but I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be 10-7. This schedule this year is really tough. And you may say, well, Kim, don't you think they're better than last year? I do think that they're better than last year. I think the schedule is more difficult. And so the 10-7, it's a good 10-7, but it's going to be tough. And so 10-7 is a little optimistic, but I'm confident enough to go with 10-7.
I'm going to go with 12 wins in the regular season. This is a tougher schedule, and this team is super talented at a lot of spots, but there's some concerns about depth, and if the injury bug pops up to some players that have injury histories, it might get a little dicey here or there. It's a really tough AFC. 12 should do it, and if you could push for 13, you'd be pushing for that top spot in the AFC, but 12 is where I'm comfortable going with the Texans right now.
All right, JJ, win total. Time to put the money where your mouth is.
Let's go.
I'm going with 11 wins. And let me tell you why. Because I think it's real easy if you're high on this team, JJ, to overshoot this, to go, 13 wins, 14 wins, undefeated season. They're going all the way to the Super Bowl. They're not going to lose a single game.
Right.
I'm going with 11 because in the radio business, they teach us.
Come on.
To under-promise and
over-deliver.
over-deliver. Now, the radio folks not going to like that I told y'all that little secret, but that's the truth. Under-promise and over-deliver. So I'm going to under-promise this 11 wins and hope that we're shooting for 13, but I don't want to get too carried away.
Well, Brandon, you know, I've always had this ability to just kind of connect with people. And when I see a person like you come across every now and then in my life, man, and you're a guru of the game, you're knowledgeable, you know ins and outs about every sport industry. And for you to come up with 11 wins, and we had mentioned, you said earlier, you're very satisfied going into this regular season. For me, we are brothers from another mother. Let's go. I'm believing the same exact thing. 11 wins. Let's see what they do.
Yeah, and that'll be enough to get them in, man. So I'm with it. 11 wins. Let's go. Let's make it happen. And hey, don't be afraid to over-deliver.
Prepare to win.
And now our turn. And I didn't want to do this, but I'm saying 12.
Same.
I'm going 12. I sat and looked at the numbers.
I can't believe we all agree on this. I really can't.
I went through every single game, and certainly the end of the season is going to be difficult, no doubt.
Right.
With those games, Chiefs, Ravens, but also they're all stuffed together because of the scheduling and the holidays and playing on big days. 12. We talked earlier that this might be a tougher schedule, and it probably is a tougher schedule, but when you have C.J. Stroud all things are possible.
Yeah, well, I went back and looked at the schedule as well, and not only did I look at the Texans schedule, but I saw, okay, who won the Super Bowl last year? The Kansas City Chiefs. They won 11 games in the regular season. So I'm thinking, okay, to be one of those contenders, if they really are a Super Bowl contender, you're going to have to win at least 10 games, and that's bare minimum. So I'm thinking, going down the schedule, there's a few games that you're kind of like, okay, this is a toss-up, this might be a tough one, but for the most part, I think there's a lot of games that they can win. I think they can start off winning at least 3 games in a row if everything goes right. I think 12 is the magic number.
Yeah, I think they could be 4-0 to start the season, to be honest with you. And I really think a lot of those more difficult games later in the season, when you talk about the Lions, you talk about the Dolphins, for instance, those games are at home. So they're in good shape. I think that Green Bay game going to Lambeau ends up being a difficult test. However, that's at the end of October. It's not in December when weather could be more of an issue. So I think that their biggest tests that they're going to face are going to come at home, and I think that C.J. Stroud and D'Amico are an unbeatable combination, and C.J. has proven that he is way ahead of the learning curve. This is the year the Texans step out as one of the preeminent teams in the NFL.
Well, there you go. That's going to do it for Countdown to Kickoff here on Sports Extra. Also thanks to Seth Payne, Brandon Scott, J.J. Moses, Kim Davis, Cody Stoots for joining us. And now, guys, it's all about game week and the opener in Indianapolis.